Hey guys, it's us, your favorite lesbians. Probably not.
Go ahead.
So, a lot of you wanted to know about our book and how it came about. It's Out of Seasons, a coloring book sprinkled with poetry.
It doesn't have an S on it.
Which part?
Out of Seasons.
Oh, Pepper. Out of Season, a coloring book sprinkled with poetry.
Yes.
Which is kind of not true. It's really a poetry book that has some coloring pages in it, but it did not quite have the same ring. On TikTok and a lot of our other social medias, you have a lot of questions for us and you want to know some things that maybe 1 to 3 minutes can't get it done. So, per your request, although I can't fathom why anybody would want to know any more about us, here we go.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the number one question that we get probably more than anything else is how did we meet? But before we get into how did we meet, we're going to do some quick introductions about ourselves because some people may not know that we have a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the places that you can find us. So I'll start. My name is Sade. I'm not going to tell you my last name, but it wouldn't be easy to find if you Google. It wouldn't be hard to find if you Googled me. And feel free to add me on LinkedIn if you're a professional. Anywho, I work for IT. I am technically, I say that I'm from Raleigh, but I was born and raised in Richmond County. But I've been in Raleigh basically like tons of years. Went to UNC Chapel Hill, and that's about it for me.
My name is Geraldise. I am probably the easiest person in the world to find because there are only 2 Geraldises in the entire world. And so if you Google me, it's not hard. It's me. I am an accountant, technically. However, that's not what I do anymore. I left corporate America, 1, because I was bipolar and was struggling through working, and 2, because I hated it. I hated where I worked. I hated the people that I worked for.
Oh, wow.
I hated the girl that they hired. That I trained, and then they promoted above me.
Okay, so we don't want to give them that.
Okay,
how we met?
So just in the event anybody wondered, you can't be bipolar and hate your job and then expect to go every day. It's just a no. It's not going to work out for you. So how we met. A friend of mine, after a terrible breakup, I had decided that I was going to live my life in solitude. I was going to read myself to death, and this was how I was going to live my life. And I was perfectly okay with that. I had been single for a little over a year, maybe, and she added me to this website called Plenty of Fish without my knowledge. And she downloaded photos from Facebook and then left the sketchiest description she could find. Like, it was literally, I'm an author, I like to eat, or something. It was just so terrible and random. And what you need to know about me is that I'm not super tech savvy. So I kept getting these messages and I legitimately thought that they were spam. So I kept sending them to my spam box. So fast forward about a month, she and I are talking and she wants to know how it's going because she thought like a normal person I would have caught on, but I did not. And then I felt bad. So I logged on and started messaging these people that had messaged me and said, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not set up this profile. I'm not interested, because I didn't want to be rude and just ignore them. Just so happens one night that I'm online and Bae slides into my DMs. So in the process of telling her, hey, I'm not really looking for anything, she says to me, okay, cool. I am new to the area and I'm just looking for someone, to hang out with and, show me around. Mind you, at the time, I was poor. I was below the poverty line. I was raising 2 children off of $16,000 a year. And what I did not have time for was to show somebody around and try to figure out how I was going to eat a meal. But I did tell her that, hey, I'm down to hang out. I can probably squeeze in 1 meal a month if I, eat bologna that week and make sure my kids eat at school. And I gave her my phone number and said, okay, well, I've got to go to bed now. Have a good night. And it was 10:30. And I logged off, and that was that.
So y'all want my version, okay. That's all, I guess, true that somebody set up her fake profile or whatnot. But I would like to say, in my defense, I did live in Chicago/Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for about 2.5 years, and I had just moved back to Raleigh, technically Durham, when I messaged her. So that's why I said there had been a lot of gentrification. I may have gotten lost on 15501, or somewhere. So I just needed a little tour guide, if you will, to reacclimate me to the city. Because I just told them I was from Raleigh.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about. Anywho, it wasn't a full lie. It was just, a little white lie. Anyway, yes, I was online. I wish I had the picture. I should have bought it so that they could see it. But if you stalk her out on Facebook, you can go all the way back to one of her beginning Facebook pictures. And it's the picture of her, and she doesn't really have on any clothes. Neither here nor there. But it's just her shoulder. So it's not like, she's naked or anything, but you can see her shoulder. And she's just giving this look. And I saw that look, and I said, Birdman hand rub. What do I do? And so, of course, I started talking to her about food, because she mentions food on her profile. And I like to eat. So that's what happened. I sent her a message. She said she was logging off, and it was 10:30. And I was like, surely she cheating on her whole family, because who goes to bed at 10:30? But come to find out, she just was going to bed early back then. So anyway,
I was poor, so
you sleep?
Exactly. Sleeping is free. Okay, the longer you stay up, the more money you spend.
That's true for right now.
Okay.
Outside is hot.
Okay, no.
And so I said, that's weird. But she gave me her number without me even having to ask, because I was working up the nerve to get her number. What you also need to know is I was completely inside the closet when this conversation happened, right?
Her profile, it said she liked men.
Are you going to tell the story, or you want me to tell my part? Okay. So it may or may not have said that I was interested in men. And so here I go sneakily sending her a message or whatnot. So anyway, point is, she gives me her number. And I'm like, oh, now the next day I'm over here like, what time is too early? She didn't say what kind of line of work she was in. 8 a.m. makes me look thirsty. 9 a.m. also makes me look like I don't have a life. So I'm like, okay, maybe like 10. She had time to get some breakfast and some coffee. And I'm at work. Like I was at work myself. So I text her at 10 and I say good morning or something. And then she calls me. It's like 11 a.m. Me at my desk, because I'm in the closet. I can't just answer this, at my desk phone. So I'm running in the hallway. Hello? Y'all, all I hear is chatter. Like, I'm inside her pocket. And so I'm like, maybe my voice wasn't sexy enough. Hello? She says nothing. I hear them talking about oxtails and a spades game. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, someone lied about something somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so I hang up, because clearly she didn't actually call to talk to me. But then I text her because the thirst. And I'm just like, is everything okay? You good? She was like, I didn't mean to call you. And I'm like, great. That's great for my self-esteem. Thank you. But yeah, then she talked to me. You ended up texting me after that.
I did.
Well, obviously.
And we talked and text on and off all day. That night we had made plans to see each other. I was out of town that following weekend. Mm-hmm. And so I told her that I would be, now mind you, this is on a Tuesday that this took place. I told her that I would be back in town on Sunday, and she said, okay, cool, we'll get coffee then. I was like, bet. So we continue to talk, and she was like, well, I don't want to wait until Sunday.
Relax.
Can you meet me on Thursday? So I said, sure, but I had previously made a coffee date.
A coffee date.
That same day.
It was a coffee date?
Across town. It wasn't a coffee date. I said that I'd meet this girl at the Barnes & Nobles. Mm-hmm. She was into kayaking. I can't even remember her name. She was super boring. And so because I was on that side of town, she was like, can we meet? And I told her where I was. And she says, what?
I only make lateral moves, unlike the moves your dog is currently making underneath this table.
All right. So she tells me she only makes lateral moves. And so we had to change the location of where we were going to meet.
So we end up meeting at the Starbucks in Durham by South Point. City.
And I get there first, and when I walk in the door, I'm like, mother effer. So my ex's brother works at Starbucks, but he did not work at that Starbucks until that day. So I walk in, and this sir is the barista, and it's too late. We've already made plans to meet here, so we just gonna ride it out. She walks in, and I'm on my phone, and it's like a...
Y'all, it wasn't a phone. First of all, it was a droid, okay? And it had to be this big when I walked in. So I come in, I was like, ain't no way she missing my text messages on this. Like, where did you get this? So I come in with jokes because that's what I do.
Yeah. So we go up there, we order the coffee. I order mine, she orders hers.
And I get my wallet out to pay, and he just hands us the coffee. Which perplexes me, because how does one steal coffee from Starbucks? I never paid. She never paid. I was really confused. And she's like, come on, let's go sit down. But I'm like, actually, I don't want to get arrested. So I need more details. And when we sit down, she was like, so the barista is my ex-brother-in-law, kind of. And I'm like, oh, this date is great. Because now he's eyeballing me.
Yeah.
From the Starbucks.
Yeah, so it was awkward turtle. And I told her off rip, I said that I am newly, separated. I am poor.
Okay, you gotta be, because I'm not dating somebody who's separated.
Okay.
So you need to tell them what you actually said, because
I said,
now I look funny.
I said,
like I'm dating somebody else's wife. Relax. Everybody relax.
I said that I'm divorced.
Okay, thank you.
I have 2 kids.
Woo.
I'm poor.
Okay.
And I live in a body.
Thank you.
And she said that there was something about that level of honesty that made her think, oh, this is the girl for me.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was that one line right there. And I was blown away, because I had been on dates. And even me, like, there's this thing, I've read it before. It says, like, when you go on a date, you normally send your representative. You don't necessarily send you. And so for me, for her to say that off the rip, I was like, oh, well, at least I know she won't lie to me, down the line.
Well, the reality of it is I couldn't afford a representative. So I had to go myself. And we stayed there at the Starbucks until they closed. We closed it down. And oddly enough, my daughter, my oldest, was across the street at the mall. She was there so long, this date took so long, until she comes over to the Starbucks and sits in the corner to do her homework and to make sure that I'm good. I wasn't aware that it was like a date because we had just, been talking about general things. What do you like to eat? What, just, hey girl, hey, kind of thing. You'll never guess what happened to me today kind of vibe. And she could tell that she was my daughter just immediately, because we look just alike. The date was over, and I said, oh, well, are you going to give me a hug? And she had just gotten her hair cut, and she was just like, no, I don't want to get hair all over you. And so I hugged her from behind.
It was a sneak hug, for the record, also. I told her no, and next thing you know, her arms had encompassed me from behind. And I didn't want to let go of that embrace. And
so that is how we met.
That is how we met. And she keeps showing up every day.
She spent the night
one
night.
Don't say, my mama might see this.
Your mama knows.
Okay.
She showed up one day to the house to spend the night, and she ain't gone home since.
Okay, thank you. Next, what's next on our list? Thanks. Holiness is right.
Hey, Miss in the closet.
Relax. No one asked about my coming out story. That's good. Please don't ask that. Whenever y'all watch this, don't ask that for a later episode. Okay, so we did how we met. So of course we end up getting engaged at the same Starbucks in Durham, and then after that we got engaged twice. I'm not gonna get into that. We took faux engagement pictures at a different Starbucks in Durham, and then we ended up getting married in September. And so now we've been married this year. This September 23rd will make 5 years, and then we've been together 7. So that's a little bit about how we met. The next question, after we get, when did you guys meet? Or how did you guys meet? The follow-up question is always, well, how did you know babe was bipolar? How did you know? Like, you don't just normally wake up one morning and say, surprise, I'm bipolar. That was not on her dating profile. Just so we're clear. She did not put that she was bipolar. That's because she didn't know. Anyway, I'll let you. Do you want me to give the background?
Sure. Okay,
so from my perspective, because I can only speak for me. We had been in therapy, so we get married, right? Honeymoon phase, bliss, loveliness, good, great. We had a child going off to college. We had new car situations. We had just real life marital things that happen. Life happens. And so we were actually working on just trying to blend a family with 2 adult children. Me and an age gap. Like, we just had a lot of work to do in the beginning. So we were working through that. And so we started seeing a marital counselor probably year 2 of us being married, so that we could have a mediator and we could have a safe place for us to be able to express how we felt. So we're going to therapy and things like that. We have some hiccups along the way, but for the most part, it seemed to be working. So our son ends up coming back to the house or whatnot. And so while he's here for a brief period, Jolie starts disappearing in the middle of the night. What does that mean? Let me fix it first, because I know it sounds a little sketch. I would roll over at 11 o'clock and she's not there. And so we have this app on our phones. I'm so sorry for those of you who have iPhones that have not hipped your family to a thing called Find My Friends. If you don't know what it is, you should stop this podcast now, because I'm getting ready to spill the tea. Okay. You got time. All right. So there's this app called Find My Friends. I'm on there. Our kids are on there. My closest friends are on there. You can see people's location from their iPhone to your iPhone. She's in sketch neighborhoods, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, where are you? So, of course, I call her. I'm frantic. I've woken up. She's not at home. Where were you, babe?
I may or may not have been in the neighborhoods weren't sketch. They were nicer neighborhoods.
Trying to clean it up.
Purchasing items off of Facebook Marketplace that people that may work second shift and couldn't meet me until 11:30, or people that maybe worked at restaurants and bars that didn't close until 2 and couldn't meet me at 3. Purchasing items that I thought were a great deal in the middle of the night, which in retrospect may have been a little unsafe, but when you're manic or you're hypomanic, that's not what you think about. So I went through a phase. All of our upstairs is carpeted. That's what you should know. I bought 1 rug off Facebook Marketplace. The following day, I bought another rug off Facebook Marketplace. The day after that, I bought a rug from the actual store. 2 days after that, I bought a rug from like a friend of, not a friend, but like someone we knew. And then I bought 1 more rug. And at that point, our son comes to me and says, hey, why do you need all these rugs? The upstairs is carpeted. And I said, for, decor, ambiance. And he says, this is stupid. Stupid or not, come help me move your bed and put this rug under there. He said, no, I'll do it. That rug stayed rolled up in the corner of his room. I know a month. And then finally I freaked out and I said, you've got to put this rug down. So he goes to Mama Bae and says, yo, what's up with your wife? She's bought 5 rugs and the whole upstairs is carpeted and something's off. Bae, in her loving way, says, is she happy? He was just like, I don't know. She says, well, she's not bothering me. Is she bothering you? He was just like, she want me to put this rug down. Bae says, well, put the rug down and she'll leave you alone. He puts the rug down. I'm not bothering her. And so that's that. That's the end. Until
we then, that following weekend, so that's 5 rugs in the course of 7 days. We're going to this place. There's a place in Raleigh called Clothes Mentor. we go in there and they have like they have some actually very expensive stuff. They got Versace name brand like that people have sold back to the store, whatnot. Cool. So we go in there and she found a not Steve Madden. What's the leather so soft?
Marc Jacobs.
Marc Jacobs bag. She bought a Marc Jacobs bag. She bought a Coach bag. We went to the mall. She bought 4 more total bags. So she ended the weekend at like 6 bags and like $600-700 in one weekend. To which, now here's where this is very important. Because I know most people are probably like, Sade, these red flags, like you just missed them all. First of all, there's a quote on Instagram that says, red flags looks like 6 flags until, you stuck in the middle of something, right? So let's start there, okay? To me, I was, riding a wave. It was great. Second thing to know, she was in charge of the finances. My whole check, and this is another reason how I knew I loved her. I used to turn my money over. It would get direct deposited into our joint account, and she was responsible for the bills because she has an accounting degree. Hello. So I was letting her manage all the money. I wasn't thinking nothing about it. So when we would go places, if I was trying to buy some shoes, I would say, hey, can I buy these? And she would like, yeah. So I knew I was in the budget. Good to go. Well, this weekend when she spent like $700 on some bags, I said, oh, my commission must have been real nice. Like, how much money did I send over? Like, we're saving a lot by switching to Geico. Who knows? And then it turns out that's not what was happening. So that's what gave me the red flag when I went and checked the account and the bags were there and the money was not. I had some concerns. Is that not how I discovered it?
No. How you discovered it was the car note came in red. Well, that happened
right after. Yeah, the car note came in red.
I want to be clear. She did not check the account after the bags. What happened was a couple of weeks later, the car note came in the mail and it was red. And so Bae says to me, why is this red? And I said, I don't know. I've never gotten a red one. Maybe it's decoration. I don't know. So she opened it and she says, Bae, did you pay the car payment? And I said, yeah. She said, did you pay it this month? And I said, no. She said, why not? I don't know. She said, okay. Did you pay it last month? And I said, probably not. And it was with ease that I said it that bothered her.
In my soul.
So she says, well, when you say you paid it, what do you mean? Well, I mean that at some point in time, I've paid the car note. Like, I've been paying it. What are two payments? What are 2 payments? What are 2 payments compared to rugs and bags? Neither here nor there. So at that point,
I went to therapy. We went to therapy as we were already going, but this time I had some receipts. And I said, Eric, which is our therapist, what's this? What do you want to, can we talk through that? Can we talk through my money? Can we talk through my money, Eric? And he says, yeah, let's talk about it. And so anyway, I'll fast speed this up. She ends up having to go to at least, had to feel like 20. I was paying them out of pocket too. About 20 appointments where she had to meet with the therapist and they ask a series of questions. And I was having to keep a journal very similar to this, where they basically start asking like, what is her demeanor when she wakes up, tracking it day by day by day. So I would have to go to one of these once a week to meet with her psychiatrist to really talk about what am I seeing? What am I experiencing? How does she feel? She's talking to her, all this stuff. So probably 4 months passes and she finally gets a diagnosis. And the psychiatrist reassures me, don't worry, we're going to support you too, Sade. But first, we've got to figure out medications. So they give her some kind of DNA swab where they basically come back with a list of meds that they say, these are going to go great for you, these might work for you, and these are not going to work for you. So for the next 8 months, I now have to track when she takes this medication. Does it make her nauseous? Does it make it irritable? What are her responses to this medication? Then I have to bring those back to meet with her psychiatrist so we can figure out the perfect combo to treat bipolar 2.
So at the point I had a psychiatrist, we had a marriage counselor, I had a talk therapist, and I had a cognitive behavioral therapist, which are all very different things. And through this process, first and foremost, it's not like I just became bipolar. I've been bipolar this entire time, and it's just been an ebb and flow. And my children, when I told them that I was bipolar, they were like, yeah, that sounds about right. Because as they look back over their lives, they're just like, got you, sis. So it wasn't a big deal to them because I have long periods of being dormant or being fine or not having mania or even depressive episodes. And then I have fun spurts, which is what Bae thought. She just thought I was adventurous when it's not adventure, it's mania. And so it was a lot. So we found out that, and for the record, through all this, I'm great with money. Never in the entire time we've been together have we skipped a beat. And because I'm so good with money, the fact that I had missed 2 car payments did not negatively affect us. Financially, it didn't negatively affect us.
Okay.
Yeah, emotionally, it was an issue, but financially, it didn't negatively affect us. So we learned that I had to have a antidepressant, an antipsychotic, and a mood stabilizer in order to keep me at baseline. And then I require a cognitive therapist to help me deal with the mania, the hypomania, and the depressive disorder and states that I'm in. And it took months to figure out what combination of these drugs were going to work. And on top of that, there was yoga and grounding and meditating and just a litany of things to kind of help even it out. And some days were great. Some days I painted an entire bathroom in the middle of the night.
We changed our bedroom around.
I got braces at the drop of a dime.
She did.
She did. And it was just, and so that's kind of how we could tell that some of the medications caused my mania to be closer together. Like, whereas before I could go months without having a manic episode, and something about these meds sped it up, and it was just back to back to back of ridiculousness. And
some turned her into a zombie. I hated those.
Yeah, some kept me real chill, but you were not getting a rise out of me. The house is on fire, then we should leave. But first, grab some items. It's pretty much how that works. So during that process is when we started to write. And by we, I mean me. They told me that it was important for me to get my feelings out. And so I am a writer. That is not what I went to school for, but that is what I feel like, that is my passion. That's what I love to do. And so I started writing poems. And one day, after we had had an argument, because let's be clear, please don't let the smooth taste fool you. Honey, she and I can go 12 rounds. I mean, and it can be new and ridiculous. We can decide that we're not talking to one another, and then Bae will text me a soliloquy of her feelings. And if it's too much to text, this clown used to send me emails.
Loved a good email. Loved it. Still do.
Okay, email me.
You gotta tell people how you feel.
About how she felt like that. And that was one of the ways that we communicated, because that way it wasn't heated. Like, I could feel what she was saying in the email, but Bae has a tendency to talk to me crazy. And by talk to me crazy, that's how I explain it. I don't like her tone. You have to put a little lilt in your voice when talking to me, or else I'll get offended. And then once I'm offended, this conversation is over. I shut down. So I came into the office, and
I'm minding my business. And good provider. You know?
And I say, hey, I wrote a poem about you.
I can't find it though.
Would you like?
Go ahead.
Would you like for me to read it? And the name of the poem was Biscuit Snow Gravy.
Do you want to give him a little piece of it?
Your love is like biscuits, no gravy, grits, no fish, brunch minus the mimosas, and HBCU with no marching band. Your love is like warm summer nights with no mosquito netting. Your love is like cold winter mornings with iced coffee. Your love reminds me of a time when all I wanted was a Louis Vuitton bag and would settle for the cheap knockoff that could be found on Canal Street. Cheap knockoffs were all that I could afford, and no one could tell the difference but for me. But aren't I enough? Is not the fact that I could tell the difference important enough for me to want more? Don't I deserve more? Don't I deserve biscuits and gravy, fish and grits? Not just brunch, but Sunday brunch with mimosas and Bloody Marys and a bloody good time. Don't I deserve all the laughs that come with what love is? This is not your fault. None of this is your fault. Only I am to blame. I have allowed you to serve me what you think I deserve, only what you find is worthy of me. I have not asked you to warm my coffee or to light the citronella candles. I have only ever taken what was offered and deemed it to be enough.
Okay, so first up, I thought she was giving y'all a snippet. That's one. I didn't know this was poetry reading hour. 2, the disrespect. Still so disrespectful. It's a very disrespectful poem. Okay. She read this to me and I'm working, right? And she starts saying these things and I'm like, well, let me stop working. Let me turn around. Let me really take this in because clearly I've done something very wrong. Like, who hurt you, sis? And the answer was me. But the only problem was I could not figure out how I had hurt her. So there was that. So she tells me this. And I said, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. I'm going to let those resonate. And so she ends up leaving the office. And of course, if you've met me, I went ham. All in the mic. Just ham on my computer. Because I said, what we're not going to do is try to put all this blame on me. And so I responded, which I'm not going to read my poem back to it right now. But I respond to her. And so from there bursts this book. Not all the poems are us going back and forth with each other, but a lot of it just kind of takes a look at how she was feeling in the middle of all this, how I was feeling, and then the convergence of those two, because the truth is, even though she had this diagnosis, the rest of our life went on. We had surgery. We have children. We both have mamas. We both have grandmas, aunts, uncles. We still had to function pre-pandemic in the middle of this, right? So we had
then we had to function in the pandemic
in the house together
with this diagnosis.
Yeah, that was rough too. Some of the poems were written then. But yeah, so anybody who has the book would know it is a darker read, if you will. People have called us, texted us, and are like, it's like we're looking in on y'all's relationship and learning things about y'all that we did not want to know, or that they felt like was a secret. But for us, we had to get it out there. One, because we feel like it's helpful, especially for married people in general, because married life is a hard life. But 2, for people who are dealing with anyone whose spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whomever, has a mental illness of any capacity, because as a support person, you go through things too. And you experience the diagnosis just like they're experiencing it. And so you have to figure out a way to have a healthy outlet, and you have to have a way for you guys to communicate so that you can kind of work through it. Is that all you had?
I think that does it. The book was done for about a year.
Yes, we've been done with it for a year. Yeah,
but we had to heal from some of the things that not only we felt, but that we said to one another, because the book is real rap raw. And sometimes, even though you can appreciate it, sometimes it's hurtful to know that your spouse is hurt. And that you were the person that you were the reason that they are hurt. And so you, after getting out of your feelings, out of removing yourself from it and being like, well, I didn't, you have to say, oh, wow, the person that I love is hurting and I played a part in that. And how do we now deal with that? How do we now move forward from that? And we had to be okay before we let the world know, because if you are on shaky ground when this comes out, people will slide smoothly into your DMs and be like, honey, you don't have to put up with this. Oh, but I do. I do have to. There's some vows and there's some covenant that we've entered into.
Some.
That we are committed to. And to hear her tell it, I'm a little expensive. So people be sliding into these DMs and don't quite know what they're in for.
Yeah. But yeah, I think overall, I know we're going to wrap this one up, but yeah, overall, I think I recommend the book, obviously, because I wrote it, but I also recommend it because there are people that I know. We let people who either A, are bipolar, or B, have some form of other types of mental illnesses, read it first to make sure that we were aligned. And granted, it was our story, so no one could tell us that, this isn't how we felt, but we did send it to other people to ensure that they understood, as a support person or as the person who also has a diagnosis, that they are better than their diagnosis. They're not their diagnosis. But you do have to leave room for the diagnosis in your marriage, in your relationship, in your partnership, whatever you want to call it. You've got to leave room for that and then separate them from the diagnosis. So we can dive deeper into that, but that's all I got.
Yeah. We oftentimes say, if you know us, then you know, and then complete the sentence. And our goal here is for you to be part of that. So when we say, if you know us, then you know, we want you to say, yes, I do know that, because I do know them. And this is what this is for. And so this is the end of podcast 1.
Episode 1. We out. We should come up with a little something.
I can't get you to dance regularly. Outro. And you now just have... Okay.
We need an outro. We'll work on that. All right, we out.